Chapter 61 Lianyue enters the Divine Palace. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the house. When Changge came back here, his face changed slightly as he recalled what happened just now. Fortunately, he arrived in time. Otherwise, in the middle of the night, Master was fast asleep and unprepared, and the consequences would have been disastrous. Master. At this time, Lianyue, who was on the bed, saw that his face was not very good, and said softly, "Master, what's wrong with you?" "Fine." Changge just smiled faintly. At this moment, he suddenly noticed that Lianyue had broken through to the Divine Palace realm. How long has it been since we last met? She just went to Water Curtain Cave, and she has arrived at the shrine now. This qualification is so enviable. You must know that you can break through so quickly with the help of the system. But what about her? Before I knew it, I was almost catching up with myself. It is worthy of being the reincarnation of a saint, but it is terrifying. Lianyue, it's so late, why aren't you sleeping yet? Changge touched her jade-white cheek and asked kindly. Lianyue buried her head low and said in a voice like a mosquito, "I'm waiting for the young master to come back." Hearing this, Changge's heart moved. Is this because she is so fond of herself that she is waiting for her to come back and sleep with her like a spoiled wife? At this time, Lianyue added loudly, Lianyue doesn't know why, but it was after the young master came back that I felt at ease. Her voice was low and her head was buried lower. Changge smiled and said, I understand. Now that I'm back, you can go to sleep. Yes. Lianyue lay on the bed and gradually fell asleep. Changge looked at her, and a system entry gradually appeared in front of his eyes. Lianyue is sleeping, her cultivation level is +1+1+1+1+1+1+1. Well, he sighed, really not knowing what to do. I just found a treasure this time. Earn money with blood. At the same time, Xianxia was also thinking about the Dark Soul Emperor. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a strange arc, and he thought to himself, your life has been in vain. When the truth is finally revealed, I don't know what kind of expression you will show. Shaking his head, he dispelled the distracting thoughts in his mind and immediately took out a golden storage bag. This was just found from Dao Quang. The moment Yi Qingyao appeared, he had already obtained the item and then ran away. It's not the time for the showdown yet. He has to wait until the martial arts competition to give the beautiful master a big surprise, shock her, make her scream, and make her happy and excited. Soon, Changge started searching the storage bag. As a death warrior, Dao Quang kept all assassination weapons in his storage bag. There were 2 daggers in total, both of which were earth-level spiritual weapons. They glowed with a sharp cold light, like blood-eating wolf fangs, which were very dazzling in the night. He took out a handful, then walked out, found a stone and cut it. Crack! The dagger cut into the stone, and the stone suddenly burst out with a crackling sound, sparks flying, and being cut layer by layer, just like cutting tofu with a knife. It was cut directly and effortlessly. Fuck, that's awesome. Changge was immediately overjoyed. Such an awesome dagger is undoubtedly a good tool for assassination. As soon as the word assassination flashed through his mind, an idea suddenly flashed in his mind. He turned to look at Tai Feng and said coldly, assassination, right? Humph, I can make you cry. Since the other party came to assassinate him, he would also assassinate him and treat him in his own way. You know, he is pregnant with the Taichu Shadow Ghost Step. If he goes to assassinate him, it will be a dimensionality reduction attack. Although this dagger is sharp, the system's subsidy will definitely make it even sharper, so I'll get the subsidy first. Changge murmured, and immediately took out the jade bracelet, intending to awaken the Dark Soul Emperor. This time, half of the top-grade spiritual stone was placed next to the bracelet. With a swish sound, the spirit stone was absorbed, and the figure of the Dark Soul Emperor appeared. Young man, have you got the elixir? The first thing the Dark Soul Emperor did when he appeared was to care about the Millennium Fortune Pill. In his opinion, if Lianyue absorbs that pill, she will definitely grow rapidly. Over time, the reward she will bring to Changge will naturally be huge. Then Changge's strength will definitely speed up, and the rising tide will lift all boats. In this way, he is getting closer and closer to the day of seizing the body. How could he not care? After hearing the Dark Soul Emperor's words, Changge smiled coldly in his heart and said quietly, I got it, Lianyue has swallowed it. Knowing that things were progressing perfectly, the Dark Soul Emperor was immediately overjoyed, clasping his hands and laughing, okay. Okay, Changge added at this time, I still need the help of my seniors to help me erase the remnants of fate from this dagger, and at the same time, like last time, make it into 2 brand new weapons. The Dark Soul Emperor agreed directly, then took the dagger, pointed it, and cut off the remnants of fate on it, then, he raised his hand and pressed down, and a strong momentum came down, and the dagger was immediately crushed into a ball of fine iron. In less than a moment, the 2 daggers were reforged into 2 daggers. The Dark Soul Emperor was very attentive to the whole process. The more powerful Changge becomes, the greater the benefits he will gain from seizing his body in the future. How can he not treat it with care? He had no idea that all his thoughts had been known to Changge. After the recasting was completed, the figure of the Dark Soul Emperor suddenly became dim, and he could no longer hold on again. He handed the dagger to Changge, and then reminded him, practice well, the sooner the better. Only when you become strong, money, women, status, and power will be yours. Especially women, especially beautiful women, if you want to get them, you have to become stronger. Remember my words. After that, he ran out of spiritual power and fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 62, Gift of Treasure to the Beautiful Master, the Cloud-Stepping Pegasus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Changge put away the jade bracelet and sneered, what you said is true, but what kind of calculations do you have? Do you think I don't know? He didn't waste time and began to look at the short knife. He saw that it was shining with silver light, and there was a sharp cold light coming towards his face, full of sharp coolness. Immediately, he named the 2 knives, one was called Lianyue knife and the other was called Yeni knife. He planned to give the Lianyue sword to the beautiful master, and the wild goose wing sword to Lianyue. Immediately, he put 2 knives on his body and entered the house. Since there is now an extra Lianyue, the space on the bed is a bit tight. This bed was not big to begin with, it was a single bed, but now that there was an extra person, it suddenly seemed not enough. Changge sat down on the bedside and meditated cross-legged. Master, I'm so scared. Suddenly, Lianyue let out several shouts in her sleep, and her white palm stretched out suddenly, placed on his body, and hugged his waist tightly. Did you have a nightmare? Changge frowned, then tucked the quilt for her, and said softly, don't be afraid, you are safe, go to sleep. Time passes by slowly, and time flies by overnight. The next morning, Lianyue woke up early and found that she was holding the young master's waist. Her cheeks immediately turned red, and she hurriedly let go and said in a panic, Young master, I didn't mean to. Changge smiled faintly, held up her hand, placed a short knife in her palm, and said, this weapon is given to you. You can use it for self-defense if necessary. Self-defense. Lianyue murmured softly, deeply moved in her heart, and whispered, Master, your kindness to Lianyue will never forget. Her nightmare last night was very thrilling. She was whipped and kicked, but this morning, the young master gave her something to defend herself. He is really good to me. Changge didn't care what she did. He had other business to do, so he immediately said, I'm leaving. I'll be back soon. Yes. Lianyue nodded lightly. After walking out of the house, Changge quickly arrived at Yiqinyao's residence. Looking up, he saw that the body of the masked man in black had disappeared, and the traces of the fight on the wall had also disappeared without a trace. It must have been taken care of by the master. Enter the courtyard. Yiqinyao seemed to have been waiting for him for a long time. When he saw him coming, he stood up suddenly and said, Disciple, please pay attention to it recently. You must be cautious. Changge's heart moved and he asked, What's wrong, master? Last night, a masked man in black came to kill him, but for some reason, he was killed by a figure in white. I'm worried that the masked man will go to you. You have to worry, Yiqinyao said worriedly. Hearing this, Changge just smiled lightly. At this moment, Xianxia looked at his figure and suddenly thought of something in his mind. My disciple seems to be wearing white clothes too. Suddenly, she felt that her disciple looked very similar to the figure in white from last night. Could it be the same person? She was startled by her thoughts and hurriedly shook her head to clear her mind. How is this possible? The disciple obviously cannot practice. Moreover, the masked man in black is a strong man in the cave realm. How could his disciple be his opponent? Changge came to her, took out the Lianyue knife and put it in her hand, saying, "Master, this knife is called the Lianyue knife. It is extremely sharp and can cut stones like vegetables. I give it to you." That Xianxia was moved and took the short knife. When he unfolded it, he felt a sharp cold air blowing towards his face. The blade was as white as a work of art. Just by looking at the appearance, you can tell it's a good knife. Disciple, you give me good things as soon as you have them. You are so kind to me. Xianxia's beautiful eyes were filled with brilliant light. Changge smiled faintly. Hiding his merit and fame, gaining hearts and receiving subsidies is a pleasure. Ah, that's right. Xianxia suddenly had a flash of inspiration and said, "I've already bought the monster for you. Here, it's that one." Then, she stretched out her slender finger and pointed behind the rockery. Changge took a closer look and saw a horse lying on the rockery. The horse was very tall, up to 2 meters high, with red lava flowing all over its body, showing its noble bloodline. There were white clouds rising under its feet, as if it was about to ride up the clouds. "Cloud riding horse," that he blurted out. After traveling through 5 years, he naturally knows what this monster is. This thing is worth a city. Not only is it powerful, it can also fly on clouds. It is the monster that countless monks dream of. How about it? My teacher will treat you well, that Xianxia said with a smile. Yeah. Great. Changge smiled happily and immediately got on his horse. It was only after he rode on it that he discovered that it was a mare with a very docile personality. After riding on it, he showed no stubborn resistance and instead became very affectionate. As long as you like it. Seeing Changge happy, Xianxia was also very happy. At the same time, Typhoon, Du Sihai felt refreshed early in the morning. Today he feels very happy and energetic. Nothing else. Then Xianxia has probably been killed, right? Call out. Suddenly, a man in black came outside the house and said in a deep voice, "My lord, Dao Quang's soul lamp is out." What? You what? Du Sihai was shocked, and his expression suddenly changed. What's going on? Dao Quang is so serious about what he does, and Xianxia actually discovers it. He was furious for a moment and roared, "What's going on? I observed secretly last night and saw with my own eyes that he was killed by a figure in white. The figure in white was so powerful that Dao Quang didn't even survive a single move in his hand, and was directly hit by the knife's neck. This shows that he is a master." That the man in black said solemnly, "My lord, my subordinates speculate that Lihua Peak is not as useless as it appears. There should be experts hiding in it, crouching tiger, hidden dragon." Joke. Du Sihai slapped his hand on the table and roared, "How is it possible? There are only 2 masters and apprentices in Lihua Peak. How could a master suddenly appear?" That the man in black said, "This subordinate is also very strange, but it really happened. Even if I don't want to believe it, I still." As soon as he arrived, a disciple suddenly came running from a distance. The man in black's eyes narrowed, and his figure disappeared instantly. "Master, master," that the person who came was a young disciple. He looked panicked and reported, "The sect leader asked you to come over." Boom. Du Sihai was shocked. Could it be that Xianxia has sent Dao Quang's body to the sect leader, and is preparing to rake him down? What bad news is coming one after another? His expression gradually changed, and he yelled angrily, "You are in a panic, how can you behave like this? Get out!" That the young disciple didn't know why he was so angry, but he didn't dare to say more and left in a hurry. Then, Du Sihai took a breath of cold air and headed towards the main peak. Chapter 63, 382,000 times critical strike, head-severing knife, Youjun knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Not long after, Du Sihai came back from the main peak. Lin Wudi wanted him to go over to question him about the body of Dao Quang. But Du Sihai insisted that he didn't know him, and kept saying that he didn't know and had never seen him. Lin Wudi had no choice but to let him go. Although Du Sihai came back by chance, he was also very angry. Because of this incident, Lin Wudi ordered that the law enforcement hall would patrol the 9 peaks every night in the future. 10 members of the law enforcement hall would form a group, and each peak would be patrolled to prevent the same thing from happening again. As soon as this move was made, the difficulty of Du Sihai's secret hand in the future would soar to the hell level. The news was quickly reported to Lihua Peak by the messenger disciple. At this time, Xianxia was drinking tea and chatting with Su Changge. Hearing this news, she couldn't help but sigh that Du Sihai was really cunning. She actually expected that the masked man in black should be someone sent by Du Sihai, so he handed it over directly to the sect master and asked the sect master to find trouble with Du Sihai. But I didn't expect Du Sihai to be so stubborn that he didn't know anything after biting him to death. This is a bit annoying, however. There will be a nightly inspection by the law enforcement hall, which is a relief. Su Changge listened from the side and sneered in his heart. Du Sihai was restrained by the law enforcement hall, which is really a relief. However, Du Sihai can't do anything dirty, but he can. Because the people of the law enforcement hall are ineffective against him, he can hide directly in the shadows. If he kills someone, he can just find a shadow to hide in. It's useless for the law enforcement hall to come. Master, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Su Changge got up and left. Well, go ahead. Although Xianxia was reluctant, she didn't stop him. Following the way he came, Su Changge quickly returned to the front of the house. Just after getting off the horse, the system subsidy arrived on time. Ding! You sent out the Earth-level spiritual weapon Lianyue knife, Earth-level spiritual weapon, Yanqi knife, and the 10 billion subsidy took effect, triggering an excessive critical strike. This super critical hit multiple, 382,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining, level spirit weapon, head-breaking knife. Level spirit weapon, Ghost King knife. 2 short knives. Su Changge's eyes lit up. He took out the 2 knives, only to see that they were only half the size of an arm, only slightly longer than a dagger, with arc-shaped blades, cold light flashing, and extremely sharp. The system sounded, head-breaking knife, the bottom-line weapon of an assassination force in ancient times, extremely sharp, cutting iron like mud, blowing hair off. Even the extremely solid diamond can be cut effortlessly. Ghost King knife, the same origin as the head-breaking knife. These 2 knives are a pair, and the assassination force once used this pair of knives to assassinate an immortal king. So terrifying. Su Changge's eyes condensed slightly. These 2 knives are too good. They can even kill the immortal king. And this is the bottom knife used by the assassination forces. It seems to coincide with his plan to assassinate Tai Feng. In fact, Su Changge's dragon-slaying sword is indeed a good sword if it is used head-on, but it also has disadvantages. That is, the dragon-slaying sword is too big and too heavy. It is only suitable for head-on fighting, not for assassination, and these 2 short knives are extremely clever. After killing someone, you can put them in your pocket and leave quickly. They are perfect assassination weapons. In the future, use the dragon-slaying sword when facing the enemy head-on. If you want to assassinate, use these 2 short knives. Su Changge's eyes flashed. Now he has everything. There is a dragon-slaying sword for head-on fighting, and Duan Shou and Youjun for assassination. Perfect. Immediately, he found a big stone and tried to swing it. Crack! The blade cut on the stone, just like cutting tofu, directly cutting the stone, and cutting out a cross-section in just a short moment. It's really sharp. Su Changge was overjoyed. It's worthy of being a knife for assassination. Next, he tied the cloud horse to a tree, then went into the house to say hello to Su Lianyue, and left again. He was going to Tai Feng to assassinate. Since that weird old man has come to kill him, how sorry would it be for them if he didn't fight back? Now he can't trouble me, it's my turn to trouble him. Soon, Su Changge crossed the iron chain bridge and stepped into Tai Feng. the moment he stepped off the iron chain bridge, he hit directly in the shadow of a wall. After a while, a disciple passed by, and Changge took the opportunity to hide in his shadow. The disciple didn't notice it at all, and walked quickly into the depths of the peak. Not long after, he arrived in front of an iron tower. The tower was thousands of feet high, like a sword rising into the clouds. This is the training tower of Typhon. It has 9,999 floors, and each floor holds a huge number of monsters corresponding to various realms. Many disciples of Typhon come here to practice after completing their training. It is an absolutely good place for training. At this time, people are coming and going in front of the training tower. Many disciples have come to the tower one after another, looking excited. Senior brother son, practice harder, and strive to win the position of the Son of God. Ha ha ha, the same goes for everyone. Time waits for no one, we must practice every minute, come on. Point one by one, the disciples swarmed into the tower, and then all kinds of fighting sounds were heard inside. Changge's brows gradually frowned. Chapter 64, Making Huge Profits Without Bloodshed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Inside the training tower, the sounds of fighting could be heard constantly. There were roars of tigers, roars of wild leopards, and shouts from the disciples. Changge felt the enthusiasm of Typhon disciples from these voices. They were really racing against time to practice, full of energy and enthusiasm. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosion inside. Congratulations sounded immediately afterwards. Congratulations to senior brother son for your breakthrough. The words just fell, there was another sound of breakthrough. Boom! 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 In just a few breaths, dozens of breakthrough sounds were heard one after another. The training tower is a treasured place for training. The monsters inside all have strong cultivation levels. Not only can they be used to train disciples, allowing them to grow and sublimate in battle, but the essence and blood of the monsters can also be absorbed by the disciples. Many disciples punched the demonic beasts with one punch, and then started to use their kung fu skills to place their palms on the demonic beasts. With a buzz sound, they began to absorb the demonic beast's essence and blood. Within the time of a cup of tea, the dead monster was sucked into a shriveled corpse. The essence of flesh and blood was refined into the bodies of Typhon disciples and tempered into their own strength. This breakthrough speed is very fast. Changge listened outside, feeling a sense of urgency and joy in his heart. The Typhon disciples made such crazy breakthroughs with extremely fast speed. If I am slow, won't I be overtaken by them? These people are so fast and motivated. It seems that I have to be faster than them. He secretly clenched his fists. At this moment, the disciple who was lurking in his shadow also stepped into the training tower. Naturally, Changge would not go in. There were too many people inside and it was not suitable for assassination. There was a building in the distance, which formed a shadow under the refraction of the sun. With a thought in his mind, Changge teleported directly to the shadow and acted as Zheng. This building is not big and is a residence for ordinary disciples. Nowadays, many people go to the training tower to practice in a hurry, so there is no one here. Changge suddenly had an idea. Hey, why don't I steal one from him? He tiptoed upstairs, then rummaged through the boxes. After a while, they successfully found some scattered spiritual stones and techniques, as well as some earth-level common soldiers. He took out the storage bag and took all the orders. After emptying this building, he quickly disappeared into the shadows and went to another building. Soon, the building was evacuated, the windows creaked, and no stolen hair was left. Next, he wandered between each high-rise building and committed crimes one by one. Along the way, we dug 3 feet into the ground. Regardless of whether we needed it or not, as long as it looked valuable, we moved everything away. At the same time, in the training tower, the Typhon disciples who were practicing in a hurry all felt that something was wrong, and their hearts suddenly became empty, as if something had been stolen by others, and they became depressed. Maybe it's an illusion. They shook their heads and continued to indulge in the killing of Xianxia. 1 year does not matter whether it is long or short, it is important to improve your strength as soon as possible. With this in mind, these people continue to practice. On the other side, Changge quickly cleared out all the attics. A total of 370,000 high-grade spiritual stones and more than 90,000 top-grade spiritual stones were obtained. There were countless weapons, including yellow level, mysterious level and low-level ones. In addition, there were dozens of boxes of high-grade elixirs. In addition, he also found many strange things in these attics, such as broken stone slabs, yellowed parchment rolls, and weapons broken into half. These are almost all trash and of no use, but Changge took a look, and a light suddenly flashed in his eyes. According to the routines in the previous life, the weirder and trashier things are, the more likely it is to hide some big secret. Thinking of this, he accepted the order. Ha ha ha, I've done it before, I've done it this time. After collecting the things, Changge was overjoyed. This was obtained without a single blow. It was a huge profit. Immediately, he patted his butt and left gracefully. Where did the thief come from? Just as he walked to the door, a man suddenly came in. He was an elder, tall, with a face as sharp as a knife, and a sense of majesty between his brows. Changge's eyes narrowed and he said, "You are." "I, Huang Feihu, are you, the transparent person from Lihua Peak?" The elder also recognized him at this time, snorted coldly and said, "You are so brave, you dare to steal my peak, you are really looking for death." Boom! The elder took action directly. A steel whip carried a terrifying momentum and whipped towards Changge. When the whip passed by, the air suddenly emitted a sonic boom. Like thunder exploding. Changge smiled coldly, and calmly used Taichu Yin Yang ghost steps to easily reach behind Huang Feihu, and then emerged from his shadow. Subsequently, with a wave of his sword, he cut off his head. Stab la la! The head decapitating knife was extremely sharp, even the space was cut open, and it cut into Huang Feihu's neck with lightning and flint. Huang Feihu couldn't avoid it, and his neck was instantly slashed. His head flew up on the spot, and blood spurted out. His head spun in mid-air, his eyes filled with disbelief, and finally he hit the ground with a thud, and his body died. After killing the man, Changge put away the beheading knife, fumbled around Huang Feihu's body for a while, and successfully fished out a storage bag. Then he dragged him into the shadow of the wall, and then moved through various shadows, and finally came to the back mountain and threw his body down. This tie was taken care of. Changge sneaked into the shadow and left. Huang Feihu died quietly, and no one noticed. Chapter 65. I accept your challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Typhoon, Iron Lock Bridge. Changge walked on it with a swagger, heading towards Lihua Peak. Because the shadow area of the Iron Lock Bridge was very large under the refraction of sunlight, it could not accommodate a person, so he could only show up. He also checked the storage bag found on Huang Feihu, which contained hundreds of thousands of high-quality spirit stones, a set of exercises, and several other weapons and elixirs. As an elder, his family was naturally very rich. What made Changge happy was that the exercise was extremely terrifying, a bodybuilding exercise called Dragon Elephant Tyrant Body Exercise. When practiced to the extreme, the body is as hard as steel and invulnerable to swords and guns. Okay, use this thing to ask master for subsidies. He raised his foot and walked to the opposite side. At this moment, the Typhoon training tower suddenly exploded, and a group of disciples flew out of it, standing in the air, with a strong breath wafting on their bodies. Damn, the people from Typhoon have made another breakthrough. Is it so terrifying? Hiss. This speed, so fast. Ah, I hope I won't run into them then. The disciples from other peaks all looked up with fear when they sensed this breath. Changge turned his head to look at the group of disciples, but didn't take it seriously, and walked on his own, but he had just taken 2 steps when he was suddenly stopped. Hey, that transparent, stop right there. Changge turned his head and saw that the person who spoke was a young man in black tights, with a face as sharp as a knife and an axe, looking extremely fierce. He stood high in the air, looking down at himself. What's wrong with you? Changge didn't understand what he wanted to do. Of course I have something to do. The young man glanced at him with contempt, and sneered, Transparent, listen to me, when the martial arts competition comes, I will fight you. Do you dare to accept it? As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar all around. Huang Jiulong, you have such a strong cultivation, why do you bully others? Changge is just a transparent person. Is it fun to bully transparent people? Yes, if you want to bully someone, find a decent person to bully. Junior brother Su can't practice. What's the difference between bullying him and killing an ant? That's right. As everyone knows, junior brother Su has been in the sect for 4 years and has not been able to practice. Huang Jiulong, don't you feel ashamed to bully such a person? Many disciples from the peaks are worried about Su Changge, and many people are going to step forward to persuade Su Changge not to agree. You must know that Huang Jiulong is very good at fighting. His fighting ability is famous in Taifeng. Among all the outer disciples of Taifeng, he is the best fighter. He is a powerful person in the Divine Palace realm. To kill Su Changge, I am afraid he only needs one finger. Listening to the scolding around him, Huang Jiulong said coldly without blushing or getting angry, you know nothing. This is the order of the Peak Master. As long as I kill this transparent person, I can be promoted to an inner disciple. What? As soon as this was said, there was an uproar all around. Du Sihai actually gave such an order. Then many disciples of Taifeng now regard junior brother Su as a fat sheep. For a moment, many people looked at each other, and their eyes became pitiful when they looked at Su Changge. Alas, being targeted by the entire peak, he is probably in trouble now. Here, Su Changge slapped his forehead and suddenly realized. This is an open conspiracy. The weird old man was restrained by the law enforcement hall and could not do anything dirty, so he wanted to use the martial arts competition to kill himself openly. The martial arts competition is ruthless, life and death are determined by fate, and wealth is there. If someone is killed, the sect will not pursue it. The weird old man wants to kill himself. But, how could I be afraid? Su Changge stood up straight, never bowing his head. While whispering, he also sneered, looking at Huang Jiulong in the air as if he were a fool. Huang Jiulong was a little scared by him. He didn't know that Su Changge had killed even the elders, not to mention him, a mere disciple. In addition, Su Changge even killed the dead men raised by the strange old man, so why would he be afraid of him? The Palace of Gods, is it very strong? Su Changge has already surpassed the Palace of Gods by 2 major realms. Huang Jiulong, why shouldn't I be afraid? Su Changge raised his head and shouted, I just want to remind you, don't regret it when the time comes. Huang Jiulong was surprised to hear such tough words. He didn't expect Su Changge to react like this. He didn't know where this transparent confidence came from. Many people around were also stunned by Su Changge's words. They only felt deeply unbelievable and couldn't believe their ears. Junior brother Su actually agreed to fight with Huang Jiulong. My goodness, could it be that he has his own confidence? Huang Jiulong quickly came to his senses, and then laughed loudly, saying firmly, don't worry, if I regret it, I will be a dog. This is yours. Su Changge sneered and left immediately. He had just taken 2 steps and was stopped by someone again. I saw a black shadow flash in front of me, and a gloomy face blocked the way. He, transparent, you seem to be very confident. Why don't you also make an appointment with me for a fight? How about it? The person who came was a gray-robed disciple, also a person from Taifeng, named Wang Wei, who bullied the weak and wanted to get involved in everything. Wang Wei, this scum, actually bullied junior brother Su. Chu Shui came out at this time, and she was sweating for Su Changge. The faces of others also changed, and they were filled with righteous indignation. Wang Wei doesn't have much strength, and his cultivation is far inferior to Huang Jiulong. What he loves to do most is to bully some new disciples by taking advantage of the power of others. Now that Su Changge has been challenged by Huang Jiulong, he wants to take the opportunity to show off. Su Changge glanced at him and sneered, okay, I accept your challenge. When the time comes, I will beat you with 1 punch. Wang Wei raised his head high, very proud. I'm waiting. Su Changge said, and went straight back to Lihua Peak. He still had business to do, so he naturally couldn't waste time on these 2 stupid people who were looking for death. Along a mountain road, Su Changge soon arrived in front of Yi Qingyao's door. Pushing the door open, he saw Yi Qingyao sipping tea leisurely there. very salty. Changge took a look and was quite speechless. For 4 years, the beautiful master has always been in such a salty state, otherwise she would not be looked down upon by other peaks, but people live for themselves, not for others to see. When the martial arts competition comes, I will make everyone look at Lihua Peak with new eyes. Changge secretly clenched his fist, then walked forward, handed the thing out, and said, Master, this is the Dragon Elephant Tyrant Body skill, for you. Xianxia was slightly stunned, and then said, Disciple, every time you come here, you are giving me treasures. All these things, I am almost cultivated into a private treasure house by you. Changge smiled faintly, and slandered in his heart, then I have become a treasure house in the treasure house. Xianxia took over the skills, and then worriedly said, Disciple, are you too impulsive in the matter with Huang Jiolong and Wang Wei? She naturally heard what happened just now. Changge said lightly, Master, please rest assured, when the time comes, I will beat their faces swollen. After that, he raised his foot and left, leaving only a chic back. Chapter 66, The Body Becomes Holy, the 8-part Heavenly Dragon Body Art, Entering the Realm of He. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just walked out of the courtyard, the system subsidy arrived on time. Ding! You sent out the Xian level skill, Dragon Elephant Tyrant Body skill, the 10 billion subsidy takes effect, triggering an excessive critical strike. This excessive critical strike multiple, 384,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining, 8 Dragon Tyrant Body skill. 8 Dragon Tyrant Body skill. Changge's eyes lit up and he was overjoyed. It seems that this time it is a subsidy for quality, the system voice sounded immediately, 8 Dragon Tyrant Body skill, a level bodybuilding skill. In ancient times, there were 8 dragons entrenched in the world. Each of them had a saintly cultivation level, which was extremely terrifying. This bodybuilding skill is the strongest and most powerful method practiced by the 8 dragons. There are a total of 30 levels. If you practice to the extreme, your body will become a saint. Physical body becomes a saint. Changge's eyelids jumped and he was almost scared. His own body was already very strong, but who would have thought that this technique would be even more powerful, and could actually make his body holy. Awesome! Once the body is holy, won't it be completely invincible? He took a deep breath and took out the 8 Dragon Tyrant Body technique. It's so heavy, that as soon as he got it in his hand, his eyes narrowed. This is an ancient yellow Taoist scripture, with the breath of ancient times flowing, very vicissitudes. It looks thin, but in the hand, it weighs 1,000,000 pounds. This is too scary. Changge didn't waste time, and immediately entered the house and began to practice. There are hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the sect, and who knows if there are any hidden ones that will surface at the martial arts competition, so he must improve his strength as soon as possible. Young Master. As soon as he entered the house, Lianyue immediately came up and looked at Changge with a glow in her eyes. Changge knew that she needed warmth, so he chatted with her for a while, and during the time he flew on his sword, took her down the mountain to buy a lot of delicious food, and bought a few sets of clothes for changing. Lianyue was deeply moved, and a warm current arose in her heart, and she felt very happy. Time passed slowly, and a moment passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the sky gradually became dark, and a bright moon hung high on the branches. In the house, Changge sat cross-legged and carefully comprehended the 8 Dragon Hegemon body secrets. As the comprehension deepened, a layer of silver-white light gradually appeared on his body surface, as if he was covered with a layer of silver armor, shining brightly. Hey, young master, you are actually a pure body. At a certain moment, Lianyue suddenly spoke. Changge's heart moved, and he immediately asked, how did you see it? His physique was washed by the holy marrow cleansing pill, and there was no impurity in his body, which was extremely transparent. No matter what he absorbed, it would be twice the result with half the effort, and the same was true for practicing the exercises. Lianyue doesn't know. Before, Lianyue couldn't see through it, but now that I have broken through so many realms, I can see it somehow. Lianyue came over, blinking her bright eyes. Changge nodded. Lianyue is indeed the reincarnation of a saint. She can see things that many people can't see at a glance. This is a great thing for me. In the future, if I meet someone with a special physique, I will let Lianyue take a look at him. I will know all the details of the other party, so that I can know myself and the enemy, and win every battle. Immediately, he closed his eyes and practiced quietly, the first level. The 10th level. The 15th level. The 20th level. The 30th level. Soon, Changge's understanding of the 8-dragon tyrant body art reached the top level, as if it was a natural process, without any stagnation. At the moment of reaching the top level, a strong and mighty breath burst out from his body, like a tornado, sweeping in all directions. Boom! The terrifying fluctuations spread rapidly, rushing straight to the sky. The vast fluctuations seemed like the vast and boundless galaxy, sweeping across the universe and covering a radius of 10,000 miles. For a moment, there were vast fluctuations in the air within a radius of 10,000 miles. Countless people were stunned and lost their minds. They felt that the airflow was unusual. There seemed to be an extremely terrible breath flowing in the air, vast and deep, spreading in all directions. At this moment, Changge's body became holy. He could feel that his body had undergone tremendous changes. Every piece of flesh and blood, every cell, and every drop of blood had undergone a subversive transformation. It was more powerful and fuller than before, as if it contained endless power. A saint, how terrifying that is. But now, although his cultivation has not reached the holy realm, his body is already a saint's body. Crack! He clenched his fist lightly, and his bones and joints suddenly burst into a sharp explosion, as if it was a thunderous sound, deafening. After the body became holy, the cultivation began to soar. The cave realm is broken. The dragon realm. The first level of the dragon realm. The second level of the dragon realm. The 5th level of the dragon realm. The 7th level of the dragon realm. The 9th level of the dragon realm. After the cave realm, it is the dragon realm. Changge's body became holy, and the power was fed back, directly feeding his cultivation to the dragon realm. If he went out with this cultivation, it would be enough to sweep away some remote sects. However, it's not just that. His cultivation is still skyrocketing, and it can't be stopped at all. After the dragon realm, it is the human realm. Boom! The human shackles in the body were directly shattered, and his cultivation soared rapidly. The first level of the human realm. The 3rd level of the human realm. The 5th level of the human realm. The 7th level of the human realm. The 9th level of the human realm. Young master, you are so strong. Lianyue sensed the breath of the human realm, her pupils suddenly widened, and she said in shock, the physical body is perfect, and it has reached the human realm. Changge smiled faintly and said, yes, whoever bullies you in the future, I will punch him to death. The two laughed in the house, unaware that someone outside had already been shocked. In front of the gate of Lianyue Peak, there were 10 burly figures patrolling here, all of them were strong men from the law enforcement hall. When they patrolled here, they suddenly sensed a terrifying breath wave rushing up, and even the airflow in front of them became slightly abnormal, and there was a sound of electric current coming from the air, which was extremely terrifying. This made them tremble in their hearts and lost their voices in shock. Hiss! Who is this person who has mastered the magic skill? This breath. Even I feel palpitations, so scary. Hiss! The breath came from Lianyue Peak. It's probably someone from Lianyue Peak, most likely Master Yi. Master Yi? Great! Great! How could Master Yi be so lazy? It turns out that he has been working hard in a place that cannot be seen. Awesome! That's not right. There is not only Master Yi in Lianyue Peak, but also Changge. Could it be him? Don't be funny. You know that junior brother Su can't practice. These people were shocked for a full 10 minutes, then saluted respectfully to Lianyue Peak, and then retreated to patrol other places. At the same time, in the courtyard, Xianxia was also very shocked. Who is it? She could clearly sense that a terrifying wave swept over and rushed straight to the edge, faintly making the air flow amid a sonic boom, which was extremely terrifying. She walked out of the room and looked up. When she saw the people from the law enforcement hall leaving, she suddenly realized something and murmured, "So it was them, no wonder." It was the law enforcement hall, so it was not surprising. The law enforcement hall was a powerful existence in the sect, and it left a very strong impression on Rao. Everyone in the hall had extremely strong cultivation. If they went out, they would be able to establish a sect. Chapter 67, Super Critical Strike, the Starry Sky Sword, the Sky High Void Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the room, after the breakthrough was completed, Changge let out a long breath. I could only feel the huge force rolling inside my body. The turbulence was unparalleled, and the rolling force was as surging as the deep sea. The physical strength has reached an incredible level. He felt that his body was as if it were made of steel. No, it was harder than steel. It could not be described in words. Anyway, it was extremely hard, as solid as a rock, and as indestructible as a copper wall. If this punch were to strike now, I don't know how terrifying the destructive power would be. Hey, Lianyue doesn't seem to have any skills yet. Suddenly, Changge thought of something and his eyes narrowed slightly. Although Lianyue's cultivation improved rapidly, she did not practice any techniques. It's just that there is no cultivation, just like a blank piece of paper. This is definitely not possible. Between monks, they can indeed use realm to suppress each other, but many times, many monks often practice some extremely terrifying skills to kill across borders. Even if their cultivation level is lower than the opponent's. Because the skills they practice are very powerful, there are not a few who can fight back. In his previous life, Changge was in Youjun, and he had seen many cases like this, so now, he glanced at Lianyue and prepared to take out a few exercises for her to practice. In this way, when the martial arts tournament begins, the chance of winning will be even greater. At the same time, you can also get a lot of good blessings. Just do it. Changge immediately took out a book of exercises and handed it over, saying, "Lianyue, this book of exercises is given to you, take it for self-defense, that this is the golden body technique of immortality." Although the exercises subsidized by the system are sent out, they will no longer receive subsidies, but now that he and Lianyue have been tied together and live together, it is naturally nothing to give away. This. Young master, what kind of technique is this, so terrifying? Lianyue's fingertips touched the immortal golden body technique, and she was immediately shocked by the vast aura coming from it. She felt as if her heartbeat had missed a beat. The breath was so thick and powerful that it made her heart tremble. In just an instant, she understood that this must be an extremely terrifying technique. The young master even gave this precious skill to himself. For a moment, she was deeply touched and moved, and tears of gratitude flowed from her eyes. Don't cry, it won't look good if you cry. Changge carefully wiped the tears from her eyes, and then briefly explained to her the peculiarities of this technique, and then began to supervise her practice. Since he has practiced it once and has a deep understanding of this technique, and now he is teaching it to others, he will naturally become familiar with it. Soon, Lianyue began to practice. Time passed by minute, gradually. A vast aura circulated around her body, extremely deep, and the strength of her physical body increased steadily. She is the reincarnation of a saint, but she has not awakened her memory yet, but the power of the saint in her soul has not weakened at all. She can practice this technique thousands of times faster than ordinary people. Time passed by slowly, and 3 hours passed by in the blink of an eye. At a certain moment, Lianyue slowly opened her eyes, and a bright light flashed in her eyes. The immortal golden body technique has been cultivated to the top level by her. Her physical body had been greatly transformed, and she felt like she had been reborn. My current physical body is comparable to a rock. Lianyue carefully observed her changes and was very excited, but she was even more grateful to the young master. She knew that this was all thanks to Mr. Su. If it weren't for Mr. Su, she might have been killed long ago. How could she have achieved such a transformation? In the future, I must be grateful to you, master. Young master, from now on, Lianyue is willing to stay by your side forever, be your maid, and serve you all your life. Su Lianyue bowed down and said softly. Su Changge was not a pretentious person, so he naturally agreed and said, yes, but it is not enough for you to just practice one technique. If you want to catch up with me, you have to work hard to practice more sword techniques. He took out a few more books on swordsmanship and handed them to Su Lianyue. There are dozens of books on these exercises, all of which were obtained from Taifeng. Most of them are profound self-defense techniques, such as Kun Do Divine Sword, Lu Ren Divine Sword, Nihility Divine Sword, etc. These sword skills are very powerful and can not only be used for self-defense, but also for killing people. Su Lianyue lowered her head and took over these sword skills, her face full of excitement and gratitude, and she kept all the kindness of the young master to her in her heart. Immediately, she started practicing non-stop according to Su Changge's instructions. As for Su Changge, after the things were given away, the system's subsidies also arrived on time. Ding! You gave away the Xian-level swordsmanship, Kun Do Divine Sword, the Xian-level swordsmanship, Lu Ren Divine Sword. The tens of billions of subsidies came into effect, triggering super-critical hits. This super-critical hit multiplier, 389,000 times. Congratulations to the host for getting Super Sword Technique, Sword Fighting Among the Stars. Super Sword Technique, 6 Meridians Divine Sword. Super Sword Technique, Thunderbolt Divine Sword. Super Sword Technique, Lingxiao Cave Void Divine Sword. The compensation items this time were very generous, and they were basically super swordsmanship. Su Changge listened with a happy smile on his face. I have to say, this feeling of paying for subsidies is really great. Second, just after dawn, Su Changge sneaked into Taifeng. Last night, he spent a whole night practicing all the sword techniques subsidized by the system to the top level, and he possessed dozens of unique skills. But he used a knife, and he didn't have a sword. Similarly, although Su Lianyue practiced several sword techniques, she didn't have a sword to use, so the purpose of his sneaking into Taifeng this time was to find a good sword. Then give it to Su Lianyue to use for subsidies, but he didn't like ordinary swords, so this time it must be a good sword. He planned to see if he could get some opportunities. P.S. A reader left a message saying that he liked this book very much, and the author would like to express his gratitude here. Chapter 68, A Chance Against All Odds, A Heavenly Spiritual Weapon, The Heavenly Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the top of the platform, in the shadow of a big tree, a series of whispers sounded. Senior, has that disciple had any chance recently? There is an opportunity, but it is very ordinary and not worth going. Where's the disciple in green clothes in the distance? It's not bad, but the distance is a bit far, and the effort is not proportional to the gain. Where is the disciple sitting on the stone? Generally. These two voices were none other than Su Changge and the Dark Soul Emperor. On the way here, Su Changge had already used half of the Spirit Stone to awaken the Dark Soul Emperor, then let him use his magical power to turn it into a grain of sand and hide it in the palm of his hand. While talking to the Dark Soul Emperor, Su Changge also sneered in his heart, the Dark Soul Emperor is such a fool. He is being exploited by himself without even realizing it. He is really a fool. Suddenly, a black-robed disciple came from a distance. The disciple went straight to the tree and sat down cross-legged. Su Changge's pupils narrowed slightly. This disciple is actually Xuanhuan. Damn it, who killed my brother? Xuanhuan roared angrily, and a violent pressure suddenly rushed out of his body. In an instant, the surrounding wind roared wildly, the big trees swayed crazily, and the ground shook. Xuanhuan was so angry that he was not even in the mood to practice. His brother Hu Yuankong was killed, and the murderer has not been found until now. You know, he is an inner disciple. Who has the courage to touch his brother? But unfortunately, his brother was killed silently. Damn it! This is unreasonable. Xuanhuan was so angry that he exploded with anger. In the shadow, Su Changge covered his mouth and snickered. I just like to see him angry but unable to do anything about it. Here, the Dark Soul Emperor glanced at Xuanhuan, and then made some deductions. After a while, he was overjoyed and spoke to Su Changge, young man, this man has no chance. He went down the mountain 2 hours later and bought a yellow-level common soldier at a blacksmith shop in Heching for the price of a cabbage. It was a dark iron heavy sword called the water-bearing sword. After he got the water-bearing sword, he didn't care and went straight back to the sect. 3 days later, he used this sword to strike a hard rock. After one move, the rock was unscathed, but the waterproof sword broke on the spot. He was about to scold the quality, but he suddenly discovered that there was a secret hidden inside this common soldier. The common soldier is just a superficial appearance. In fact, the common soldier is empty inside, hiding a super-spiritual weapon, Yijian. Huh? Changge raised his eyebrows. Lean on the sword. It turned out to be Yijian. The song Yi Tu Long Bg suddenly sounded in my mind. If you can't rely on it, who can compete with you? Oh, this is a sword. The Dark Soul Emperor deduced some more, and then continued. After he obtained Yijian, his overall strength skyrocketed. He crossed the border to kill during the martial arts competition, defeated dozens of proud people in a row, and completely suppressed them. Changge's pupils shrank sharply and said, I know, but now, this sword belongs to me. It is conceivable that Xuanhuan can suppress so many arrogances if he gets that sword, so it would be bad if he could suppress himself. This kind of suppressed thing must never happen to you. You must not let it develop. We must get the Yijian before Xuanhuan. Young man, I don't have enough spiritual power. I'm going to sleep first. You have to go quickly and take that leaning sword. Before the Dark Soul Emperor finished speaking, he fell into a deep sleep due to lack of spiritual power. Changge showed a strange smile, then teleported into another shadow, and left here silently. After he left, Xuanhuan was still here yelling angrily, his chest full of anger. Lihua Peak, house, Changge returned here and flew to Heching with Lianyue. The reason why I brought Lianyue with me was that I went out this time to help Lianyue get this sword, then he can just get better subsidies. Relying on the sword is indeed strong, but the system's subsidies are definitely stronger. The tool for this trip is the cloud-stepping horse. Young master. Lianyue sat on the cloud-riding horse, with some ripples in her heart and her cheeks turning slightly red, because the two of them were riding the same horse together. They were very close to each other, almost touching each other, feeling the pure masculine aura coming from Changge. Lianyue's heart was beating wildly, her breathing was rapid. Suddenly, she thought of something in her mind, and her face turned even redder. But the next moment, she suddenly realized something, and a deep sense of inferiority suddenly rose in her heart. I am just a maid, how can I expect so much? Changge didn't care what she was doing, he was concentrating on riding the horse. The horse was very fast and flew quickly towards Heching. About a few minutes after they left, at Taifeng, a dead man in black escaped into the meeting hall and came to Du Sihai to whisper for a while. Oh. He took a woman out. After hearing the news, Du Sihai was overjoyed. He couldn't do anything in the sect, but outside, Changge couldn't help him. My lord, why don't you let me go this time? The dead soldier knelt down in front of Du Sihai and volunteered. Du Sihai stared at him and said in a deep voice, Yi, try to do it as neatly as possible. If you leave any clues, then you don't have to come back. Yi nodded heavily. Please rest assured, Lord, Yi guarantees immediate success. Chapter 69, I'll be there if the sky falls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. River City, located in the west of the East Dao domain, it is vast and full of merchants. It is nearly 500 miles away from Taishan Dao sect, not too far, but not too close. Changge rode a horse and took Lianyue with him. He galloped in the air for several hours and arrived successfully. Blacksmith shop. Changge descended from the clouds, stepped into the city, and soon found the blacksmith shop. This blacksmith shop is located in the most prosperous area of the main street in the city. Changge looked around and saw that there were either blacksmiths or sellers of various iron and stone materials along the street. The blacksmith shop in front of him was a tall building with a plaque on the door with 3 vigorous and powerful characters on it, Jinghong Building. Before walking in, you can feel a burst of burning fire coming towards you. There are also various knocking and hammering sounds of blacksmithing. Obviously, the masters inside are busy and enthusiastic. Changge stepped in and saw a man in short sleeves hammering a piece of iron. He was sweating all over and his face was red from the fire. Do you want to buy weapons? The man in short sleeves stopped his work immediately when he saw someone coming and asked with a smile. Changge smiled and said, "What do you have?" As he spoke, his eyes looked back and forth on the shelves. He looked around and saw a dazzling array of weapons on the shelves, including knives, swords, guns, halberds. All kinds of weapons were available. There was a label under these weapons, with the name of the weapon written on it: Panlong knife, Kaishan axe, Xian sword. We have everything. Which one do you like? I'll take it down for you to try and see if it's handy. The man in short sleeves said politely. Changge swept his eyes over the shelves and soon found the target. It was a huge heavy sword, 3 meters long, 1 meter wide, and extremely heavy. Generally, only physical cultivators could wield such a huge sword. It was casually placed in the most remote position of the shelf, with a layer of dust on it, and Changge's eyes lit up, and he immediately asked, "Shopkeeper, how much is this heavy sword?" The short-sleeved man heard it, and his eyes turned sharply. The heavy sword was not made by him, but was given to him as a gift by a good friend. However, he studied it over and over again, but he couldn't figure out what was so good about this sword. It was not sharp, nor was it domineering, but it was very heavy. In the end, he came to the conclusion, this is just a very ordinary heavy sword. He put it in the store for half a year and didn't sell it. Many people looked at the water-repelling sword once and didn't even look at it a second time. In other words, no one was interested. Ha! Finally someone is willing to take this waste. The short-sleeved man was very happy. This heavy sword is just a piece of trash, but now someone finally paid for it. He looked at Changge and felt that this man was really a fool. Although he thought so, his face was calm. He said calmly, "Sir, you have good eyesight. This water-repelling sword is very heavy. Ordinary people can't lift it at all. Only a young hero like you can match it. It's not expensive, just 1,000 low-grade spirit stones." The short-sleeved man really didn't shout high, "This is just a piece of trash." He felt that it was very good to sell it for 1,000 low-grade spirit stones. After that, he also slandered in his heart, "I hope this fool can buy it." Hearing 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, Changge's mouth corners slightly raised a weird arc, and then calmly said, "It's a bit expensive." He actually knew that the price offered by the short-sleeved man was not expensive. But he couldn't buy it all at once, otherwise it would definitely arouse his suspicion. Counter-offering, this is the normal behavior of buying things. Hearing Changge's bargaining, the short-sleeved man showed a look of regret, then gritted his teeth, as if he had made a great decision, and said, "Since it is your first time to visit the store, the discount is justified. Let's make it 800 yuan. Changge did not bargain again, and directly took out 800 spirit stones and handed them to him. After the two sides completed the transaction, Changge left. After he left, the short-sleeved man looked at his back and sneered, "What a blind monk, why can't you do anything with 800 spirit stones, but buy a waste?" On the other side, Changge walked on the street, feeling very happy. He was not in a hurry to chisel the sword, because there were too many people on the street. It would not be too late to wait until he returned to the sect. Suddenly, Lianyue beside him couldn't help asking, "Young master, this sword is very ordinary, why do you want to buy it?" Changge smiled faintly and said, "You will know later." Lianyue didn't say anything else. At this time, deep in the corner of the street, a man in black wearing a bamboo hat was staring at the two of them. Under the bamboo hat, the eyes of the man in black exuded a violent murderous intent. This person was not someone else, but Yi. He stared at Changge like a lone wolf catching prey. As long as he found an opportunity, he would immediately pounce on the prey and bite it to death. Here, the Pishue's sword was already in hand, and Changge planned to take Lianyue away. At this time, a large group of people suddenly walked on the street, shouting as they walked, "The elders of the Vajra sect are here, all irrelevant people get out of the way. Otherwise, don't blame me for not having eyes for my sword." These people were all black-armored knights riding tall horses, holding a sword in their hands, looking majestic. They were surrounded by a sedan chair, which was carried by 8 tall and strong men. It was obvious at a glance that the identity of the person in the sedan chair was terrifying. All the pedestrians on the street changed their faces in an instant and hurriedly moved away. The Vajra sect mainly cultivates the physical body. Every physical body is extremely strong, and ordinary people dare not provoke it at all. Changge glanced at the sedan chair, ignored it, and left directly. Others did not provoke him, and he would not make trouble out of nothing, but at this time, the curtain of the sedan chair suddenly moved, and a gloomy look swept out and lingered on Lianyue for a moment. Then, the sedan chair suddenly stopped and a voice came out. "Sixth son, come here." Immediately, a black-armored knight walked over respectfully. The person in the sedan chair said something to him, and a wicked light suddenly appeared on the face of the black-armored knight. Then he came straight to Changge, blocked his way, and said in a deep voice, "Son, the maid next to you is very good. My master likes her very much. Hand her over and you can get out." Changge's eyes condensed. "What is this for, forcibly robbing a woman?" He sneered and said, "What if I don't agree?" "Disagree?" "Humph." The black-armored knight's face darkened, and he immediately waved to the large team. Many black-armored knights gathered around, 10 in total, and instantly surrounded Changge. Swish! Swish! These black-armored knights drew out their swords one after another, with the blades shining with cold light, extremely dazzling, as if they were going to kill people in the street. "Sir, I'm a little scared." Lianyue's face turned pale. She once again remembered the days when she was beaten and kicked, and the nightmare in her heart could not be shaken off. Changge smiled warmly at her and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll be there when you collapse." Chapter 70 Explosion. Heavenly Realm Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing Changge's words, Lianyue's heart suddenly surged with warmth and she was moved. "It's great to have a son." The black-armored knight suddenly became angry and roared, "Son, are you looking for death?" Changge ignored him, but grabbed Lianyue's hand and pulled her behind him. "Just stand in front of her, blocking her from these fierce black-armored knights in front of her." Then he said calmly, "Am I looking for death? If you think you can kill me, you can try it." "Ha ha ha, arrogant." The black-armored knight laughed loudly, "My master just said this. If you hand over this maid honestly, he can be merciful and spare your life, but what did you let Grandpa hear? You are so arrogant and deserve to be killed." Boom! The black-armored knight doesn't say many ruthless words. After finishing, he just takes action. A big knife flew through the air and struck Changge hard on the head. "Maybe I don't even need to take action, this guy will die on his own." Deep in the corner of the street, Yi saw the Vajra sect taking action. A flash of pity flashed through his black eyes, and he secretly said, "The Vajra sect is a physical training sect that pays the most attention to tempering the body. If Changge provokes them without shame, he will definitely be chopped down by the opponent." Die! In the flash of lightning, the black-armored knight struck Changge with his sword. Boom! There was only an explosion, and dazzling sparks flew everywhere. The black-armored knight felt as if he had been struck by a knife on a stone. Changge's head was not even broken, but his sword exploded on the spot. His arms were numb from the shock, and the powerful shock directly knocked him. He was knocked off his horse. He fell hard to the ground and was left in a state of disarray, and Ye's eyelids twitched and his pupils dilated. He couldn't believe it. What's going on? Isn't this kid incapable of practicing? Why is there such a terrifying body? In front of the large team, the black-armored knight's eyes suddenly enlarged, his face full of disbelief. He said in horror, "You, what kind of body are you? What does my body have to do with you?" Changge didn't want to talk nonsense with him. Huge power surged in his body, and with one arm, all the strength exploded out. Boom! This punch hit the black-armored knight hard on the head, smashing his skull to pieces in an instant. Red and white things flew out, and blood rained down. Thump! The black-armored knight fell straight to the ground and made no sound anymore. In an instant, the other black-armored knights took a breath and screamed like a ghost. Hiss! 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 What kind of body is this guy? How can he be so terrifying? He even punched the boss in the head. As soon as he arrived, Changge punched out again, directly in front of the black-armored knight. Bang! That the black-armored knight's face was smashed to pieces on the spot, and his head was like a watermelon. He was directly punched through, and then fell heavily to the ground without making a sound. In an instant, the expressions of the remaining black-armored knights changed wildly, and they hurriedly retreated backwards. Want to leave? Can you leave? Changge took one step forward, running Taichu's shadow ghost step, and his figure appeared directly behind them, punching out several times in succession. Bang! 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 His fists are indestructible. Hitting these black-armored knights is like hitting fragile pieces of paper, one punch at a time. In less than a moment, all the black-armored knights were killed. Hiss! Oh my god! Lianyue stared at this scene blankly, feeling like his brain was buzzing and his cognition had been subverted. Didn't Changge have no cultivation? How come, killing those black-armored knights is like crushing ants? Young master. Lianyue said happily, you are so awesome. Changge smiled slightly, then groped for a while on these black-armored knights, and successfully obtained 10 storage bags. Then he walked to the sedan, with eyes like lightning, looking directly at the sedan, and said in a cold voice, Elder of the Vajra sect, really? Are you tired of living if you dare to fall in love with my maid? Suddenly, a gasp came from the sedan. The Elder of the Vajra sect was so frightened that he peed his pants. His pants were all wet. He crawled out of the sedan chair and said, Young master, I was wrong. I dare to ask you which sect you are a senior disciple of. I will be a disciple in a few days. Come visit and apologize. Changge looked down and saw an old man with a goatee. His face was pale and bloodless with fear. It won't be necessary in a few days. I want you to apologize now. Changge said coldly. Yes, it was the junior who was wrong just now. I hope that the senior will never be the same as me. This junior is obsessed with lust. I hope that you, sir, will not remember others' faults and spare me. That the elder of the Vajra sect had weak legs and cried bitterly. Changge smiled coldly and said, what I want is not an apology like this. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you can go die. What? The elder of the Vajra sect turned even paler. He raised his head boldly, looked at Changge, and asked tremblingly, Senior, what apology do you want? I'll risk your life to apologize. Changge shouted coldly. The elder of the Vajra sect was shocked and suddenly understood. Does the other party want him to commit suicide? Snort. He, a dignified elder, had never suffered such a loss before. He was ashamed and angry at the moment. He snorted fiercely, used the power in his body, slammed his palms forward, and shouted, the trapped beast still fights, I will fight with you. Boom! The cultivation of Nirvana realm exploded instantly. Young master's heart. Lianyue didn't expect the old man to change his face suddenly, and her heart suddenly rose to her throat. Changge smiled coldly and said, you are really looking for death. Boom. He also blasted out with a palm and greeted it. With one palm, all the cultivation of the human realm burst out. Boom. Crack. The palm power of both sides collided fiercely, like two huge waves colliding together, and the air instantly sent out a sonic boom, like thunder, deafening. Sensing the power of Changge's palm, the face of the elder of the Vajra gate suddenly changed, and he lost his voice and said, a strong man in the human realm. Bang! Changge's palm directly pierced his arm, and then penetrated to his shoulder, and hit him fiercely all the way. The shoulder of the elder of the Vajra gate was directly removed, and it became shattered, broken bones splattered, blood flowed, and he suddenly spit out a large mouthful of blood and flew out in a mess. He fell to the ground hard, and before he could get up, he felt a strong wind in front of him, and Changge's fist hit his head horizontally. He hurriedly took out a storage bag and asked, Senior, wait a minute, I'll welcome you here. Bang! Changge never talked nonsense. He smashed his head with a punch, then snatched the storage bag from his hand and shouted coldly, if I kill you, won't your things still belong to me? After that, he added another punch, and with one punch, he directly blasted the elder of the Vajra sect into a ball of blood mist. Young master, Su Lianyue fell into his arms, tears streaming down her face. Young master, you're okay, that's great, Lianyue was so afraid of losing you. Su Changge only felt a warmth coming from his arms, that was tears. He patted Su Lianyue on the back and smiled faintly, don't worry, I'm okay, right? Then, he came to the sedan bearers again, punched them one by one, and killed them all, deep in the corner of the street, and Yi watched this scene from afar. It took him a long time to come to his senses, and he shuddered violently. Hiss. He Su Changge, is actually a strong man in the human realm, that he took a few breaths of cold air, and the promise he made in front of Du Sihai just now flew away in an instant. He dared not to do anything again and ran away. Swish, that he fled out of the city quickly like a gust of wind. Who? Su Changge heard the whistling wind at the corner of the street, glanced sideways, and immediately found Yi. The dog of Du Sihai's men, that he used the Taichu shadow ghost step, crossed 100 meters in an instant, and appeared directly behind Yi. Where are you going?